I want to talk about the college quarterbacks after 2 weeks in college football. I'm going to look at them as NFL prospects. How do they look from a top-down view? We're going to talk about Justin Herbert, Mackenzie Milton, Drew Lock, JT Daniels, Tua Tagovailoa, Jake Brown, a couple more guys. I want to talk about that. But first I want to say again, these are how I would look down from an NFL perspective. And I think it's fair to say next year's NFL draft class, the 2019 NFL draft class, will not be as good of a quarterback class as we had last year. Last year, there were 5 quarterbacks picked in the first round of the NFL draft. We had Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Josh Rosen, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. I think it's reasonable to say 3 of the 5 quarterbacks in the 2018 quarterback class are going to be really highly successful down the road. I don't know if there are even 3 great quarterbacks in the entire 2019 draft class next year. I don't believe in that. Let's go through the list. I want to say this. I watch every game. I study every game. I have football on constantly. The games I don't watch, I record. I don't just say their stats. I had someone comment this week, yeah, you're wrong. He's reading stats. No, I watch every game. I put a lot of work into this. This is my pride and joy. I'm not a journalist. These are my opinions, but I do a lot of work for this segment. Let's jump in. Let's talk about first Will Grier, the senior quarterback from West Virginia. This week, Will Grier played Youngstown State. He was 21 for 26, 332 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. But I was really, really impressed from Will Grier. I think right now Will Grier is playing the best of any quarterback in college football. Here's what I like. Will Grier has really good movement in the pocket. Here, my concern is he's still trying to run around too much. He had an interception this week because he rolled out left, tried to do too much, tried to extend the play. It doesn't work. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not Sam Darnold. Will Grier needs to stay in the pocket. Move around, slide around, learn from Tom Brady. Don't run. Will Grier is not a guy that can extend plays and win that way. He does not do very well extending plays and running. He needs to move around in the pocket. Now, Will Grier has average arm strength. No concern at all. He's good enough. There's a baseline you need in the NFL. Will Grier has that. I don't really love Will Grier in Buffalo or Cleveland, but Will Grier can play in the NFL. His arm strength is good enough. Here's why Will Grier's arm is good enough. It's his accuracy and his anticipation. He's fine because his timing is really good. He's got a strong enough arm. He's got like a Ryan Tannehill, Andy Dalton level arm. Will Grier is an NFL quarterback. I'm really excited to watch him. Now, he's super accurate on his 3rd and 4th reads. So Will Grier, it's really easy to make a completion when you're looking at your first read. The concern is, can a guy be accurate on the 3rd read, the 4th read, as he goes through his progressions? Will Grier is incredibly good as he goes through his reads. I love Will Grier. It's rare for a college quarterback. Super encouraging. I would really hope the Patriots find a way to draft Will Grier because he would work so well in their system. So again, he's got to stay in the pocket. And his game next week was canceled against North Carolina State due to the weather. So week 10, week 11, week 12, that is when we're going to see the most of Will Grier. He plays TCU, Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma. And he should dominate until week 10, 11, 12. But week 10, 11, 12, we're going to learn the most about Will Grier when he plays those 3 teams. I'm really excited. I want to shift gears now to Drew Lock. Drew Lock is the senior quarterback from Missouri. Played Wyoming this week. He was 33 for 45, 398 yards, 4 touchdowns passing, no interceptions. Let's be very honest about Drew Lock. Drew Lock has the best arm in all of college football. He's got great arm strength. He's really accurate. Now, here's my question. Can he read a defense? I don't know. I think so. He did well last year. But I'm really curious to see how Drew Lock does against SEC defenses, against top-level defenses with great athletes. I have not seen once Drew Lock have to come off of his first read, go to his 2nd and 3rd. He's usually throwing to the first guy on his read. Everyone's open. I'm really curious to see how Will Grier does later in the progression. Will Grier, Drew Lock. Keep saying Will Grier, I mean Drew Lock. Drew Lock has had 2 easy games to start the year. Now, week 4, he plays Georgia. Week 6, he plays Alabama. Week 9, he plays Florida. Those are the matchups I want to see from Drew Lock. How does he play against top-level defenses in the SEC? I'm not expecting Drew Lock to win. I don't think Drew Lock's going to win a ton of games at Missouri. He'll win some. He's won 2 already. But Drew Lock, the thing I'm really curious to see is how does he play against SEC defenses? What is his decision-making process? Is he accurate from the 2nd read, the 3rd read, and the 4th read? Can he go through progressions and maintain his level of accuracy? He has the best arm in college football, but I want to see more from a decision-making process. Not that he's done anything wrong. He's just neutral. He's played bad teams, not had to go through progressions very much. So I'm really curious to see Drew Lock down the road. I like him. He's my 2nd-ranked quarterback in college football, but we have to see a lot more from him down the road. Let's talk about Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is the junior quarterback at Oregon. This week he played Portland State. I had a couple friends playing for Portland State in that game. Justin Herbert was 20 for 26, 250 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. And sadly, week 3, he plays San Jose State. So we're not going to see anything real from Justin Herbert until September 22nd when he plays Stanford. Now, I've been pretty hard on Justin Herbert. I live in the Pacific Northwest. Everybody's talking about the Oregon quarterback as if he's the next number 1 overall pick. I think I'm a little hard on him because of that. I'm skeptical that he's really a number 1 pick. He's a good quarterback. I just have some concerns. Again, I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. I'm skeptical of him. He runs a college offense. Justin Herbert does not run a lot of NFL plays. And now, look, I'll give him some credit. He had a bunch of drops against Bowling Green. He had some more drops this week against Portland State. Justin Herbert's receiving core is not very good at Oregon. But still, I don't know that I've seen enough for him to be that's a number 1 pick. We're 2 weeks in. I want to see a lot more from him down the road. He's only a junior. He's got a lot of time to develop. Now, Justin Herbert has absolutely he's completely mastered Oregon's offense. The problem is the people around him need to catch up. His receiving core is not very good. His offensive line isn't great. He's got some good players around him, not great, and they're running a lot of the wrong routes. They're dropping stuff. It's not perfect. So I'm still not convinced that Justin Herbert is a number 1 overall pick, but I have an open mind. I'm willing to listen, and I'm really excited to see Justin Herbert down the road against legitimate college football teams playing in Pac-12 play. Right now, look, he played against Bowling Green and Portland State. It's hard to judge how a quarterback really looks playing against such low levels of competition. Now shift gears to Jake Browning. Jake Browning is the University of Washington quarterback. He is a senior. This week against North Dakota State, he was 23 for 37, had 313 yards, 2 touchdowns, but also 2 really concerning interceptions. Here's the thing. Jake Browning played at Division I AA school and was not incredibly efficient, was not incredibly dominant, which is not impressive to me. You should dominate North Dakota. That's not great. Jake Browning's a solid quarterback. He's not elite. He's going to get a shot in the NFL. I guarantee that. But I'm not a big believer in Jake Browning. He should have dominated more on Saturday. It's possible that they're coming off of a really tough loss, an emotional loss to Auburn. But right now, I'm not impressed with Jake Browning. I'm really deflated. I'm disappointed. He's kind of like the Andy Dalton of college football. He's fine. But I don't know that he's a top-level quarterback that can win you games. He can keep you in games, but he's not going to make giant plays at the end of a game in a fourth quarter. It's funny, he had a quote against Auburn in the interview preview. He said, look, I'm not a guy who can win in 7-on-7. Well, I hate to say this, but the NFL is basically becoming 7-on-7. You need a guy who's got great footwork, who's got an elite-level arm, who can make great reads and stuff like that, and Jake Browning simply isn't that guy. So I'm curious to see how does Jake Browning do against Pac-12 teams. But right now, I'm pretty low on Jake Browning. He's like a middle of the pack. I'm going to rank all the quarterbacks at the end. He's like 6th or 7th because he's just not, he doesn't pop. He doesn't really stand out. He's fine. And that's not good if you're an NFL team. The quarterback I'm really excited to watch at Washington actually is Jacob Eason. He's a transfer from Georgia. Next year, we're going to see Jacob Eason, I think a legitimate NFL quarterback play for Washington. Right now, we're watching Jake Browning, who's a backup, maybe a practice squad player, probably a Canadian Football League quarterback. And it's just not going great. Let's talk about JT Daniels. JT Daniels is a true freshman quarterback at USC. This week against Stanford, JT Daniels struggled. There's no way around it. He was 16 for 34 passing, had 215 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a fumble lost. He struggled, and I'm not worried at all. I'm really not worried about JT Daniels. Again, I've said all along, he's a true freshman quarterback. He's going to struggle. He's going to have ugly games, ugly moments. He's growing, he's learning. Again, I compare him to Sam Darnold, actually, where Sam Darnold looked great week 1 against the Detroit Lions. He's going to have ugly moments this season. JT Daniels is going to throw interceptions. He's going to have bad games. This is a building year for USC. They're building, they're learning how to play quarterback. And I'll be honest, I watched JT Daniels against Stanford. I was really encouraged. He fought all the way through. He looked really good in the pocket, a good movement. He had some bad throws. He missed some throws behind. He had a couple drop passes. But what I like about JT Daniels the most, he kept fighting. And he's going to look at the Stanford game, get a lot of really good film. He's going to impress. He's going to really, really develop as the year goes on. Let's wait to judge JT Daniels. Week 8, 9, 10, he's going to be a much different quarterback than he's been week 1 against UNLV and now week 2 against Stanford. JT Daniels will massively improve. And he played Stanford. Stanford, they could win the Pac-12. Stanford's a great football team, so I'm not concerned about JT Daniels whatsoever. It's exactly what I expected from him. I knew he's going to have really big highs and some struggles. He's going to struggle as the year goes on. So we're going to watch USC and Texas next week in the third week of college football. I can't wait to watch, and I'm so excited to see how JT Daniels progresses and learns from his mistakes last week against Stanford. Now, let's talk about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is the graduate transfer quarterback at LSU. He's a junior eligibility-wise. This week, Joe Burrow was 10 for 20, had 151 yards, 2 touchdowns passing, no interceptions, and he ran for a touchdown. Here is the caveat. This week, Joe Burrow and LSU played Southeastern Louisiana. He played fine. He played really good, solid. That's a good, solid SEC performance. The problem is the level of competition was pretty low. He didn't do anything wrong. He just didn't dominate like I would have liked to see. It's also worth noting LSU was really, really conservative, especially at the end of the game. I don't know why. I have no idea. It's like, do you not believe in Joe Burrow? It was pretty weird. You would think that LSU playing Southeastern Louisiana would have really put the pedal to the metal, practice a lot more stuff. They didn't do that. So I don't know. I love what Joe Burrow does. He understands defenses. I like his ability to check at the line of scrimmage and change the play for LSU. But we're going to learn a lot from Joe Burrow next week. Next week, LSU plays Auburn, and that's when we're really going to see what is he made of. How accurate is he under pressure? How does he handle a pass rush? How good is Joe Burrow's decision-making against a really great SEC defense like Auburn? And I'm curious, does the LSU coaching staff trust Joe Burrow late in the game next week against Auburn? Auburn LSU next week is the biggest game in college football. I can't wait to watch it. I hope you tune in. And again, remember, Joe Burrow is only a junior. This is his first year starting as a quarterback in college football. He's got a lot of room to grow. I'm really curious to see what happens against LSU, but he's potentially a good NFL quarterback. You just got to give him time to develop. It's his second start ever in college football. Now, Tua Tagovailoa. I am so excited every single time I watch any footage of Tua. Tua is incredible. He's an Alabama quarterback. He's a sophomore. This week against Arkansas State, he was 13 for 19, 228 yards, 4 passing touchdowns. Here's the deal. Tua is elite. He is one of the best quarterbacks in college football already. His ability, his arm strength, his accuracy, he's got like a Russell Wilson-like ability to avoid the pass rush. It's incredible. It's funny, one of the commenters on YouTube said, well, you got to remember he's throwing to the best receivers and best athletes in all of college football. Fine, that's a fair criticism, but I want to acknowledge, look, the teammates he has in Alabama, he's playing with the best running game in college football, incredible athletes, a bunch of 5-star athletes. Yes, Tua Tagovailoa's help around him in Alabama is incredible. But Tua's going to dominate no matter where he plays college football. If he played at Oregon, Auburn, LSU, USC, he could really help Michigan right now. Tua would be dominant no matter where he played. And you got to realize the difference for Alabama. Alabama would have had 4 years in a row with Jalen Hurts. 4 really good years, maybe would have won a couple more, maybe would have won a national championship or more. But the difference between Tua and Jalen Hurts is massive. Tua takes Alabama from having 4 really good seasons in a row to potentially winning 4 national championships in a row, because you now have an elite quarterback that is really big in big moments and can avoid the rush. Tua is incredible. I would put him maybe as he's up there with the top 3 quarterbacks in all of college football. He's fantastic. His pocket movement's unbelievable. He keeps his eyes downfield. He's accurate going to his second and third reads. Again, I want to say Tua might already be the best quarterback in all of college football. He is fantastic. Let's talk about Mackenzie Milton. Mackenzie Milton is the junior quarterback at the University of Central Florida. I had a commenter. He was asking a question. A commenter on YouTube said, why isn't Mackenzie Milton in your college quarterbacks list? Here's the deal. If you ask me, I don't think that Mackenzie Milton is really an NFL quarterback. I know that's not great to hear. It's not exciting. But he's great for college. Mackenzie Milton is a great college quarterback. So was Tim Tebow. So was Johnny Manziel. Having success in college, having good stats, does not mean you're necessarily a great NFL prospect. The problem is Mackenzie Milton does not run an NFL offense. He's not making NFL throws. He's not being asked to make NFL decisions. And another weird concern is Mackenzie Milton runs the ball quite frequently. He's not athletic enough to be a guy who can run the ball at a high level in the NFL. He's maybe honestly a tight end in the NFL. He's not great. For example, here's his stat line last week against South Carolina State. His team dominated. They won 38-0. But against South Carolina State, Mackenzie Milton was 21 for 39. That's only 53% completion percentage. That's not great. You got to remember, Mackenzie Milton is running a cheap college offense, throwing bubble screens, short passes, a lot of cheap completions, stealing completions here and there. Your completion percentage should be much, much higher when you're running an offense like that, and it wasn't for Mackenzie Milton. He also only had 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. It's ugly. I didn't look at his rushing stats. I only really care about him as a passer. Because the truth is, Mackenzie Milton is not going to win games as a runner in the NFL. So from an NFL perspective, Mackenzie Milton is not a great prospect. He's not great. I'm sure he's on an NFL radar somewhere, but he's like a 7th round pick, maybe an undrafted free agent. The problem is Mackenzie Milton needs to progress as a passer. And I don't know that he's going to do that playing for the University of Central Florida, playing for that offense, playing in the American Conference where he's not challenged a lot by NFL elite players. He's a great guy. I love Mackenzie Milton. I follow him on Instagram. He's an awesome personality. I've loved his interviews, but I don't believe he's an NFL quarterback. I know that's harsh, but he's just not doing NFL things. He's not being asked to make NFL decisions or NFL throws. And Mackenzie Milton is pretty low on an NFL radar because he's not really running an NFL offense. He's not an NFL quarterback. So, how about Shea Patterson, the quarterback at Michigan? He is a junior. He was 12 for 17 at 125 yards passing, 3 touchdowns against, I think it's Western Michigan. Like, he's fine. Shea Patterson is highly average. Michigan does not have a great offensive line, but there's not a lot to take away from this week, Shea Patterson. He didn't play a great team, and he's just highly average. He's okay. He's got okay arm strength, okay accuracy. He's an average runner. From an NFL perspective, Shea Patterson's not a great quarterback. It reminds me of like Zach Robinson years ago at Oklahoma State. He's just not a elite quarterback in the NFL. He's just not an NFL player. Now, we'll see. I could be totally wrong. We'll see. We'll learn what happens when he plays Nebraska, Michigan, Penn State, Michigan State, Ohio State. A lot of really good Big Ten teams that Michigan and Shea Patterson are going to play this year. But I'm not optimistic. Shea Patterson's not really looking like an NFL quarterback. He's a little better. He's somewhere between Jake Browning and Mackenzie Milton. He can throw better than Mackenzie Milton, but that's really not saying much. So we're going to learn a lot from him down the road. The last quarterback I want to talk about is, this is the guy that surprised me the most of anybody in college football. This is Steven Montez, the junior quarterback from Colorado. He played a Big Ten team, Nebraska, this week. He was 33 for 50, 351 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. What I love about Steven Montez this week against Nebraska, Colorado's coaching staff said, we need you to throw the ball 50 times. We need you to beat Nebraska, and he did. He did. With a minute left, he threw a deep pass. Like, he got lucky. Maybe you could say he got lucky, question mark, because he threw a really deep pass. It was caught with a touchdown, caught for a touchdown with like a minute left. But Steven Montez throws the second best deep ball in all of college football. He's fantastic. Drew Lock throws a better deep ball, and then it's Steven Montez. Steven Montez is unbelievable. He's totally underrated. He's on nobody's radar, and he's really, really good. I would actually rank Steven Montez ahead of Justin Herbert. I know that's controversial, but I'm going to take a chance. Steven Montez is making NFL reads, making NFL throws. I really, really am high on Steven Montez. He's only a junior. He's got 2 years left in college if he stays at the end of this year. And man, he's an NFL quarterback eventually. I am so sure of it. Now, one thing I want to see more from with Steven Montez is he's throwing the ball often to his first and second read. He'll read one defender and throw the ball. He's not going from 1 to 2 and then to 3, 4 and checking down at 5. He's often throwing to his first or second read. I want to see Steven Montez go deeper into his progression to really showcase that he's a great NFL quarterback potentially. But Steven Montez is so underrated. He should be more recognized by a lot more teams. Steven Montez is fantastic. So let's rank all of the college quarterbacks. This is how I would rank the college quarterbacks after 2 weeks. This is how I would rank them as NFL prospects. The top 3 are all incredibly tight. The first 3 quarterbacks are like 1A, 1B, and 1C. So I'm going to go with Will Grier, the West Virginia quarterback, as the number 1 quarterback in college football right now. He's just dominant from the pocket. He needs to stop running, but his decision-making is impeccable. He's unbelievable. The second quarterback on my list is Drew Lock. Drew Lock is the Missouri quarterback. A lot of it's just arm talent. His arm is unbelievable. He throws the ball, I think, more accurate and a lot better than Josh Allen did last year. I just need to see more decision-making from him. It's not bad. He did nothing wrong. I just want to see how Drew Lock does against SEC defenses, how his decision-making process works. Tua Tagovailoa is the third best quarterback in all of college football already. He's a sophomore. He is unbelievable. I know how controversial it is, but look, at some point, Tua is going to be a number one pick. He is fantastic. I am so high on Tua. He's great. He's really fantastic. My fourth quarterback on the list is Jarrett Stidham, the Auburn quarterback. I love his poise in the pocket. He's got a great team around him. He doesn't need to do a lot, frankly, because his roster's so good. But he's going to win a lot of games, and he's going to deliver like he has all year so far when it's required. He delivered in the Washington game. We'll see against LSU how he plays, but I am really high on Jarrett Stidham. Now, my fifth quarterback on the list, this is where it gets most controversial. This is where Oregon fans are going to be really mad at me. I'm putting Steven Montez, Colorado's quarterback, ahead of Justin Herbert. Steven Montez is the fifth quarterback, the fifth best NFL prospect in all of college football at the quarterback position. He's under the radar, man. I know it's hard to find footage of Steven Montez. He's a Pac-12 quarterback at Colorado. Steven Montez is making NFL throws. He's unbelievable. Justin Herbert is my sixth-ranked quarterback on the list. A lot of people say he's a number one pick. I'm not buying it. And there's no knock on him, right? He's going to play a lot of tougher teams later in the year. We'll see what happens. But he's not running an NFL offense. And I haven't seen enough from him to go, yeah, Justin Herbert, clearly number one pick. I know Oregon fans hate that, but that's how I see it. He's really talented. I like him. I just don't love him. The seventh-ranked quarterback in all of college football, I'm going to put Jake Browning, the Washington quarterback. He's highly average, but he's solid. He can play. He'll get a shot at the NFL. But he's really, a fifth, sixth, seventh, probably undrafted pick. He's somewhere in there. And he might not make an NFL roster. He's kind of right on the bubble. So we will see what happens with Jake Browning. Now, Joe Burrow is my eighth best quarterback in all of college football. I actually like him better as an NFL prospect than Jake Browning. I've already seen enough from Jake Browning. I know he's not there. I probably should have ranked Joe Burrow higher than Jake Browning. But we just haven't seen enough from Joe Burrow. Hey, I love his potential. I think he's got a higher ceiling than a guy like Jake Browning. But we'll see. LSU next week is a huge test. We'll see how Joe Burrow does. My ninth-ranked quarterback is Shea Patterson. Look, he needs to develop. He's not there yet. My 10th-ranked quarterback, Mackenzie Milton, the UCF quarterback. He's not an NFL passer. He's not an NFL runner. And if you take away Mackenzie Milton's running stats, what does he do? He's a bad NFL passer. He's not a great quarterback, not really an NFL prospect. My 11th ranked prospect in all of college football right now, these are from the ones I've looked at least. I have JT Daniels. JT Daniels, I like him. I just think he's young. He's a true freshman. We got to see a lot more from him. He's on the list because, if I'm going to talk about him, I might as well put him on the list. But he's got a lot of growth to do before he's really, truly an NFL prospect. Another quarterback you need to think about, I might add him to the list next week, is Adrian Martinez, the true freshman quarterback at Nebraska. He looks like an NFL quarterback. His poise in the pocket's incredible. I watched that Colorado-Nebraska game. Oh, my goodness. Adrian Martinez should be on more people's radar. He's only a true freshman. He's 18 years old, and wow, can he play. So that is what I make of the college quarterbacks after just 2 weeks in the NFL. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Zach Schaumler. This is my show, Strong Opinion Sports. It's my pride and joy. I'm very proud of it. If you're new to Strong Opinion Sports, you can subscribe to it on iTunes, SoundCloud, on YouTube. You can find the full entire hour-long podcast on YouTube, or you can find more shorter breakout videos like the one you just watched. And if you like what I had to say, maybe you hate what I had to say, share this with your friends. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. Help me grow Strong Opinion Sports by telling your friends about the show. My name is Zach Schaumler. Have a great day.